here, coming at you live from the Riverside FM studios. This is Better Than Broadway. I'm Coach Robb.
This is Justin Metts.
Oh, Justin froze.
Justin, great start. Awesome. Great start. But who's this other guy?
So this other guy is Justin's brother, Garrett. Say hello, Garrett.
Justin White, as they used to call me.
Justin White.
Never said that.
All right, so
everybody else, I just froze.
Garrett,
Did you guys
Garrett,
freeze?
We saw you froze.
Basically, Garrett,
froze, yeah.
Justin, if Garrett ate Garrett, you'd get Justin.
Well, now, hold on. Let's give Garrett some credit because he's lost a buttload of weight. He used to be very, very overweight.
Yes, he
for a
has.
while.
Yeah, buddy. Hell yeah.
Kudos.
Garrett, what did you
Garrett
get up
flower.
to at your heaviest?
My heaviest?
Mm-hmm. Were you in the threes? 275, yeah. Now, he's tall, like, what are you? You're my height, right? Are you 6'1"?
6'2".
6'2"? Yeah, of course. Fucking taller than me.
Very cool.
I'm the youngest. I'm the smallest of all the Mets boys. That's what's sad. It's like everybody else is like, 6'5", 8 foot tall, everything else. So
when we got a line we got an intro with.
Oh, you do.
All right.
What are we gonna intro with? You got one?
We got a can we coexist?
Yo, yeah. So all three. No, or is it can they coexist? You get it wrong.
I don't know.
Every
We're gonna find
time,
out.
Ryan.
Hey, it's funny. Don't fuck it up.
Don't
Ironically,
screw this up.
All right, you ready?
One of you screw this up.
Wait. 4, 3.
Am I involved in this?
2,
Yeah.
1. Can they?
Coexist?
That was horrible.
This is
It's they.
every week,
like
guys. Every week.
It's
every week.
fucking
Hey,
week.
all right.
It answers our question right off the damn bat.
2, 1. Can we
Can they coexist?
I really
are we
don't
going
think this is
on?
gonna
Aren't you?
work.
You're supposed to go 5, and then when you get to 3, you don't count, right? That's how it works on radio.
Okay, we'll do that. All right.
Okay,
Ready?
we're gonna go
Well, what
5,
sucks is that
5,
everybody's
4,
on different. Oh God, here we go.
Can
Can
they
coexist? Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I think we need to let this go for this week because we're all on different Wi-Fi schedules, so like everybody's going to be just a little off.
Yeah, the chances of this going swimmingly is not great.
The chances of this going well is not, this thing could never friggin' work. So here we go. So let's go ahead and start, guys. This is the Better Than Broadway podcast. I'm Coach Robb. That's Ryan. That's Justin. And today we're bringing in a very special guest. We have our buddy Garrett Metts, brother of Justin, in the house. G, what's happening? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, just not getting the glory of being able to be noon like it is where you guys. So I had to get up pretty early for this at the.
Where are you?
Memphis.
He's a whole hour behind.
Garrett likes to get up at the crack of noon, much like myself.
Is waking up early hard over there in Memphis?
No, actually, I get up at like most days at like 7:30. So this was actually nice to sleep in. But then I realized it was 10:30 my time, and I hadn't set anything up. I didn't get my plants set up in the right position and stuff like that. So I had to come
nice.
in here
I like it.
and do all that.
Are those real,
It's a good
Garrett?
vibe.
Because I haven't been to your new place yet.
Well, I'm in my 30s, so yes, they're real.
I mean, there's plenty. I don't have a green thumb. I wouldn't
Really?
even know how to keep them. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I've got a couple flowers out front or whatever, but like it's hard for me to do that. I've never had a green thumb.
Are those
Which
your
is weird.
flowers, or like those your neighbors that you're like hoping like are drooping over into your lawn?
Look, I
That's
live in a
no lie.
townhouse, so technically they're mine, Ryan. Jesus, why are you so hard on me?
Hey, you could be paying for the HOA landscaping. So
Shout out to the HOA for keeping all of Justin's plants alive outside. Well done.
yeah, that is their job.
They're on the edge, Hey, look, wait.
So before we hop into the news today, Garrett, you are our special guest, and we're going to do a little bit of interview with you later. The boys have some questions, obviously. But as we do with everybody on the show, we like to ask you 3 questions. What got you into wrestling? Who is your favorite wrestler? And what is your favorite mark-out moment ever? Inquiring minds want to know.
That's rough. I mean, I guess there's multiple things
It's only an
I
hour
could.
and a half show.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's multiple things I could say that got me into it. I mean, I remember watching it when I was fairly young, when Justin first watched, and then fell out of it around 2005.
That is like a fucking trend with this whole group. Like everyone cheesed out for a couple years in the early 2000s, and then we all came back.
Terrible time.
Was it 05 though? Because I felt you definitely hung on way longer than I did. Because I remember not watching it anymore and buying you the VHS tapes.
Well, I fell out of it in 05, but then I tried to get right back into it in 07, and oddly enough, when I tried to get right back into it in 07 was 3 weeks before the Chris Benoit stuff.
Ooh,
and then that was kind of awkward. And, yeah, so I just kind of bounced after that for multiple reasons. But then 20...
Well, especially because Benoit was one of your favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, he was definitely up there. And then, again, I tried to get into it, and then, there was a murder-suicide situation, so that was a little awkward. But I got back into it 2013, I want to say. I was playing in a band with my buddy Josh McClain, and him and some of his friends had, never really watched it before, except, just casual fans back in the 90s, and then they tried to get back into it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I watched this for a good bit, and jumped in. Got super obsessed with it again. I've kind of fallen back out, but I've within the last 6 months been able to get back into it. Just pandemic ruined a lot with me with wrestling, because every year me and my buddies, about 10 or 12 of us, would travel to wherever WrestleMania was, and we go spend a week down there, go to all the indie shows around WrestleMania, and then go to actually WrestleMania. Obviously 2020 we couldn't do that, so I just kind of lost interest and fell in love with other things, but it's got a lot better. AEW definitely helped me find the desire to watch it again.
I think actually AEW did a really good job during the pandemic of look, we're not just, they're not just doing shows with nobody there. I understand WWE did the rap Jumbo Strong thing, but with everybody kind of chiming in, which was cool, but it still felt empty. But AEW is all right, well, hang on, we got wrestlers, let's put them in the audience, and it gave it a bit more of a feel to it.
Yeah, and they had the benefit of having TIA, the amphitheater.
Yep. Oh my God, Tony Khan, right?
Yeah. Unfortunate for his football team, but very fortunate for him to have that amphitheater outside of the stadium to be able to host people out there. And
not to cut you guys off real quick, I'm just trying to work the logistics here. Everybody watching, obviously, this is the first time doing a live broadcast, whatever. So we are not actually able to get anybody on because Ryan, can you look and see when you pull up the link? It says join as audience. It's saying the studio is only accessible to hosts, guests, and producers. I don't know if there's something on your end since you're the home where you can change that.
I am.
Just to let you guys know.
Try it now.
Okay. Join as audience. Let's see. Whoa. All right, cool. So now we can actually send it out. We're going to send this out to people. So keep going. I'm gonna put it on there. I'm sorry, guys.
Garrett, please continue, friend.
It's fine. My brother's been interrupting me my entire life, so it's nothing new. But no, so that got me back into it. Favorite wrestler? That's always been kind of a tough thing for me because, Daniel Bryan, I would say when I got back into wrestling was easily my favorite. But then, if I had to put it on one wrestler, I would probably say Shibata.
Katsuyori Shibata from New Japan?
Yeah, it was...
Love that.
I shed an actual... So I've shed tears in wrestling multiple times, but the most sincere and me actually being upset was when Shibata first announced that he was having to step away. And obviously when Daniel Bryan came out and, said his goodbyes for, however many years he was absent or whatever. But the Shibata, just his style, the iconic headbutts with the blood dripping down, easily one of the most entertaining wrestlers to watch ever. But yeah, it'd be right up there between those two.
So it sounds like it was a pretty emotional moment for you.
Oh yeah. I mean the Shibata thing especially. I mean he had his outside of wrestling issues that made him kind of semi-blacklisted out there for a little bit with the whole mistress or whatever thing. I don't care about that. But I don't know. That was just something about just watching him wrestle. He was always so interesting. I love the silence. You know, he goes out there, handles business, kind of stuff like that. And then he's just wait, can I say shit? I mean, I guess I already did.
Yeah,
but
we've already.
Yeah, he
already
just
crossed that line.
absolutely slapped the shit out of somebody. And it was just awesome to always watch that. Minoru Suzuki right up there too. But yeah, Shibata I would definitely probably say took over as number one.
That's awesome.
When did you start getting?
We started talking about who our favorites were, and we all came into agreement that we loved Chris Jericho just because of how he's reinvented himself, how he's made himself this character throughout the decades. But to sit here and have a fellow New Japan fan, or Mark in that situation, which leads us into our next segment, I love the fact that you gave Shibata, Minoru Suzuki, Okada, people like that, because a lot of our audience is not familiar with New Japan, so it's pretty cool, you know, hearing somebody, you know, say that, you know, somebody like Katsuyori Shibata, you know, Minoru Suzuki, who are two legitimate fighters who came from Pancrase, who came from cage fighting in Japan to become pro wrestlers. It's very special, and you know, he is a silent killer, and it's a shame that he was never, you know, IWGP champion. But the things that he's doing with the New Japan Dojo and how he's mentoring kids and all these young lions are coming through, I think that his impact is going to be felt the same way of a Jericho, the same way of a Triple H. Another segue for later. But give us your Mark moment after Justin gets his sense.
I don't remember what the hell I was going to say, Rob.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
No, I was going to ask.
Garrett,
no, I got so.
Go ahead.
So Garrett, I thought you were. When did you get more into like New Japan and all that kind of stuff? Because you know, back in the day, obviously, like 05 and then like 07, like you weren't into it at all. And then was it just when you started getting back into it when your friend put you onto it?
It was. I mean, you know me. I always got to be the coolest person. So it was when we all got back into WWE and stuff like that. And you know me, like once I get, if I like something, I'm going to research and look into I mean, that's how, like, you know, I could tell you every single player on any football team you could ever think of. And
yeah, which is another thing that you never did either, by the way. Like, you were the least sports-oriented human in the world, right behind me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But, I mean, that's just how I always am. I fixate on something I really like. So, you know, I got really into WWE, so I got really into looking at the history of wrestlers. So when I got back in was, like, around the time when Punk was kind of starting to get on his way out. So I always thought he was really interesting. And funny enough, actually, this was before I got back into it. When he did the pipe bomb is when we were living down in Daphne, if you remember. And I just randomly turned it on one night, and that was the night that he did the pipe bomb. And I was like, oh shit, I got to start watching this. And then my life was just.
I remember that bit.
That was good. I thought that was like 13 or 14. Was it 11?
No, 2011.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I just turned it on randomly. No, yeah. I mean, I wasn't either. I just turned it on that night and happened to watch it. But so I thought he was really interesting. Started watching old videos of his on YouTube, and then I got really into Ring of Honor. And then through Ring of Honor is how I got really, really into New Japan, because that was when they were heavy in their partnership back then. And they didn't do a January 4th show together, but they just did like a cross promotion show essentially. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. This, you know, the Japanese wrestling. And I owned, Justin, if you remember back in the day, I was watching, like, when I was like 10, watching like FMW and all these like deathmatch Japanese wrestling stuff. I just thought was like so cool that like I should have not been watching at the age of like 10.
That was me with ECW on like just late night TV on Saturday nights, like people jumping off second story, you know, rafters, and I'm like, that's a broken leg that you're seeing as a child.
Yeah. And
you know, Sabu like doing crazy shit, and then Sandman just like pounding his face with the kendo stick, like, dude, you don't have to do that, but he did.
Here we go.
Yeah,
The trashiness is what did it for me. I just love the absolute. Just there was no athletic part of any of it. It was just seeing who could hurt each other the most, which
exactly.
I don't know why I found very interesting, but I definitely did when I was younger. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was back when we lived in Arkansas and Marion, and you guys, I mean, backyard wrestling was like at its biggest. I remember you and your best friend Ryan, right? Was it Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me?
You guys used to, yeah. Yeah, you guys would just like, I don't know, that's all you talked about. And like I said, I wasn't really into it then, but I tried to, I guess, facilitate it. Like I said, I was like, oh, it's cool he's in wrestling. I was too cool for it. That was the period of 15 years where I was too cool for it. But yeah. So I was just interested because, like, you go ahead.
No, you were definitely too cool for it, but I mean, you did, appreciate the fact that I wanted to get into that and wanted to do it. I remember you watching pay-per-views with me, but you in no way cared about any of the pay-per-views, and you were just on the phone with some girl you were talking to. I don't really know what you were doing. I was watching. I'd be like, "Did you see that?" And you'd be like,
wrestling stuff.
Sure, yeah, I saw that.
Well, I was a little bit. I was a little bit frustrated at the fact, and Garrett probably knows I'm going to bring this up because every single time we talk about wrestling with new people, I bring this up. So he already knows what I'm going to say, and really, it's the only solace I have anymore from him doing it. So it's the only bit. So because I know that it annoys him and pisses him off. Garrett during that time taped over every single one of my childhood videos of me, like how you like film stuff, like me and my friends were like doing like dances and all this other shit. He taped over it with wrestling pay-per-views and VHS tapes, so you can't get it back. So all of my entire youth is completely gone.
You know what, Garrett? High five! I support that. Good for you. You know what? You need to take a stand.
Well,
Who cares about this childhood bullshit?
That's funny though.
My favorite thing too is like I understand Justin's point of the whole like him playing with his friends, stuff like that. Our mother was the most upset that I recorded over our births. Like, who the fuck watches that? Is what
That's
I want
some
to know.
sick shit. Yeah, that's some sick
like who
stuff.
wants to go back and pop this? That's the thing is like you can't even pull your phone up and do it. Like you had to go get the VHS tape out. Everyone had to sit down. You put the VHS.
It was a rig.
In. Yeah, and then like
ours was like it was like it's the size of me when I was 8 years old. They didn't have video of me being born though. I don't think. I think it was just you because I was.
They had it of you. I recorded over both of ours.
Oh, okay, yeah. So anyways, so Garrett did that. So there's that. So it's fine. I don't hold any resentment at all. It's fine. It doesn't bother me.
No one even has a VHS player anymore anyway, so it's fine.
You can find them at Goodwill.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
Or Stranger Things has all of them. They've acquired all of them for their show.
Hell yeah.
I want to buy a
Garrett,
VHS.
Garrett, what's your I know we're going to step on each other's toes here because of the delay in our Wi-Fi's and everything else like that. But Garrett, what's your favorite Mark moment ever?
So when you say a Mark moment, you mean just more so just favorite moment in wrestling? I would assume.
Yeah.
Like my favorite memory, I guess I should say in wrestling.
Yeah, that involves you, not just like. I think I know.
Honestly, it's going to sound really dumb, but to be completely honest, because it's recent. I mean, I have some like cool like core memories of like getting back into wrestling when I was younger. Like all that kind of stuff, like being like a preteen teenager. Like there was really cool moments on Raw and stuff like that and SmackDown that I just like be like, oh my god, this is crazy. I mean, I watched WrestleMania 17 main event live, which was one of the craziest things. Watched that whole pay-per-view live, and that was great. But we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. I was at the very first Joey Janela spring break in Dallas. No, it wasn't Dallas. It was New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend. And if you're not familiar with the Joey Janela spring break, it is one of the wildest, most interesting, eclectic grouping of 90s wrestlers, current wrestlers, and then like deathmatch wrestlers. So the one I was at had I think his name is Andy Williams from Every Time I Die, the guitarist. It was his first. He's part of AEW now.
He's a butcher now.
Yeah. I got to see his first like actual wrestling match. It was at Joey Janela Spring Break. I got to see. Do you guys remember the wrestler from the '90s in WCW? He ripped off Sub-Zero, Glacier.
Yeah.
He was at this
last week.
I got to see Matt Riddle versus Dan Severn. But
Nice.
the best part about all this is like those are cool matches and everything. The show didn't start until midnight, so we watched a bunch of like GCW shows, some other stuff like before that, and obviously there's a lot of booze involved in this, so it's like midnight. We have no idea what's going on. And then we were just me and like 12 of my friends just trashed out of our mind, and we just get to see all these like 90s WCW people and early 2000s WWF people, but then like they're wrestling people that I watch now on the indies and stuff like that. I
got a question. You mentioned what year was this that you saw this?
This would have been 2016, I want to say 2017.
So you mentioned Matt Riddle versus Dan Severn. Dan Severn, I watched him in the 90s be doing UFC matches, and he was old then.
Yeah.
And he has like almost close to 100 professional fights, which is like, what the fuck? And he's still wrestling? What is he, like 80 now?
He still looks the exact same, except he's got gray hair and a gray beard and a gray
Yeah,
mustache.
Well, not only that,
He's the
have you not listened to their podcast? He's 64 years old. So he's
64.
always looked older than he was, but I mean, he was old. But have you listened to the Toxic Masculinity podcast with him and Dan Severn and Don Fry?
Oh my god, I can only imagine.
Absolute gold.
Is it
Absolute
Battle
gold.
of the Beards?
Yeah, well, mustaches anyway.
Mustaches.
But
what's crazy
but yeah,
too
Mustache Mayhem.
Dan Severn's doing stuff like it used to be Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, but now they've I can't remember what MMA fighter they turned it over to, but
Josh Barnett.
Josh Barnett, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Dan Severn wrestled in the first Bloodsport. I can't remember exactly. I think it may have been. I got to look that up. But I mean, yeah, for his age to be going out there and still doing stuff like that, and it's not like he's going out there and like Ric Flair in it, just kind of like going in a tag team match and just kind of coming in for his hits and stuff like that. I mean, he was just going in there full force, just slapping the shit out of people and still doing German suplexes, and it's pretty wild for someone at his age to be able to be able to go.
Did you watch the Ric Flair match, the last match, Garrett? Because
unfortunately,
you
I
did.
did.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Was it awkward? Let's take a side because I want to hear about that.
No, I
Firsthand
mean
experience.
it wasn't awkward. I mean, it definitely helped that it was a tag match. I mean, I think that was the only way to go about it is because
Give him some airtime. Give him some breaks.
give him breaks. You get to see some excitement in there, and you get to see him, be able to go up against people that can still go too. And not that he had his spots, but it was a little rough to watch. I mean, I kind of wish he hadn't done that, but
Do you think it'll be his last match, or will
No.
it be another last match?
I don't think it'll be his last match.
It'll be his last match until he gets divorced again.
Yeah, his last match until
Shade.
he needs the money again.
Shots fired.
Oh my gosh. But
Boys,
no,
we wanna jump in?
I think I think we touched on this in the first podcast, but I think Ric Flair is Randy the Ram from The Wrestler. Like, he wants to die in the ring,
Yeah.
and
And he will.
He'll be
He will.
the last match until it is his last match ever.
Yeah, he will. Garrett, it's funny. I thought that you were going to say my favorite story that you've ever told about it was going to be. I brag about it all the time to people still. When you had a podcast for a long time that did pretty well, that was wrestling, and you got a chance to interview a bunch of people, and I thought you were going to talk about Mick Foley.
Yeah, I should. I don't know why I wouldn't think. So I got to interview Mick Foley after he did a comedy show here in Memphis, and then which was super cool. I mean, he's just the nicest guy. I mean, it is not a work that this man drives around in a minivan and his clothes are in a trash bag. I got to see that. That was pretty wild. But the coolest thing was he took me out to dinner after the podcast and bought me dinner, which was awesome. We went to a little local restaurant here called Huey's and had some burgers and. He didn't drink. I had a beer, and we just sat there and talked about wrestling for a while. But it was cool because he didn't even he wasn't against talking about wrestling off the podcast. Because I feel like he's done it for so long. You just want to go sit down at a restaurant and just talk about life. But it was just
one of those
really
cool things. It's one of those cool things, Garrett, about meeting your icons or your heroes, and you get scared about that. But because Mick Foley legitimately was, I know this being your brother, he was your favorite wrestler for a long time. With the whole backyard wrestling thing.
Yeah, because he was a mixture of the prototypical WWE wrestler, but then also the stuff that I liked when I was younger, like the deathmatch stuff and all that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool to meet him. So yeah, I would say that's up there. I know that the Joey Janela thing sounds weird, but I can't explain like the amount of adrenaline that was going through just, being in a small like VFW hall essentially with like, 5,000-6,000 people just all like just losing their shit over these really random stupid matches and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, Mick Foley in the aspect of like not an actual wrestling match or moment like that was amazing to meet him, and he was just so nice. And again, he didn't have to take me to dinner, but it was really cool to do that.
Sounds really fun.
Love that. Well, boys, shall we start talking about the weekend review? Should we knock it out?
Let's do it.
Are we doing the news?
Yeah, we're gonna. I think we're gonna start with Monday.
Can we do the pulse?
Hang on.
Justin, Rob Hall brings you the news, everything from A to Z for wrestling in the pros.
Here we go. I'll do this.
All right, so,
take it away.
So the weekend review. Let's go ahead and get over some notes here. We'll start with Monday. The biggest story of the week. Really the biggest story of the week, the last couple of weeks, has been Triple H taking over WWE as the head of creative, and on top of that, naming Shawn Michaels as the VP of creative.
That is big.
So, how do we feel about DX running the federation? The federation.
It was a 25-year storyline, and finally coming to its fruition.
Long-term storytelling.
Right? They're like, oh yeah, we totally had that planned. It finally worked out.
Have we seen? Has everybody here seen the video of Wrestling Isn't Wrestling? Garrett, I know you have because you're the one that showed it to me. I think, yeah. And they were talking about the storyline of Triple H and how he's one of the longest storylines that in wrestling, and probably one of the best. And this really truly cemented that aspect of him just not being quite good enough, so he had to put himself in the mix to control the belt because he couldn't quite be the top guy. And like this is it now. This is literally the last chapter in his story,
And I like, everyone was wondering like what's going to change. They're going back to TV 14, all this stuff. But from what I've been watching, it's been nice of like just like a 1 to 2 clicks on the notch of intensity, violence, content. It doesn't seem, it's not like night and day, but it's just a couple clicks up, which has been nice. It's been good for me. But an article I read this past week on Reddit was Dave Meltzer like trashing him, like nothing's going to change. There's no long-term storytelling. Dude, it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
You can't do long-term storytelling in 2 weeks.
Right. 2 weeks.
I think the Karrion Kross stuff, by itself, they're bringing in stuff from the past.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see more of that, and I'm here for it.
It's cool. However, I will say Meltzer did have one very good point, and it is what happens when Monday Night Football comes back. It's the exact same time slot as Raw.
Yeah, that's always been their downfall, and it's always that time of year that they just kind of. Here's where I think there can be a difference. That's the time of year where they just kind of gave up. If you notice, like they didn't try to do any interesting storyline. They didn't really try to make anything long term. It's just when football season's in, that's just when they kind of. They know.
It's basically picture in picture. You're doing picture in picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you did,
if you look
at the numbers
with your new guard of creative, you never know.
Yeah, it's just you look at numbers for viewership for a Monday Night Football game that could be the 2 worst football teams in the entire world versus a night where they're promoting a title shot on Raw. Unfortunately, it's still going to lean that way towards the football because it is just it's the sport.
That'll put butts in the seats.
It'll be interesting to see if this regime doesn't try to. Doesn't try to just give up, and I think that'll be the big difference, and we'll see if they're actually going to try something different.
I hope so because you have nothing to lose by going for broke.
That is a really good point, Garrett. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it really is like when football starts and the sports start, it's almost like they're going to commercial and they're just kind of just going through the motions, like when you see like I was saying, picture in picture. Like when they go through these commercials, you see the picture-in-picture. Nothing really happens during that time. Nothing important. They're just kind of going through the motions just to keep it up, and then like, oh, look at me, look at me again. Which I feel like that's a cop out. I feel like it should be the opposite, right? Like you should be fighting and putting all your best stuff forward to try and keep those numbers up there. But I mean, I don't know.
Wasn't there a couple years ago? I think it was maybe AEW or WWE where a pinfall happened during commercial break during a picture-in-picture.
Yes,
and they're like, "Sorry."
Yes. It was during a women's match.
I like that.
I think Penelope Ford and somebody. I think it was during a women's match.
Say it again.
I think it was during a women's match. I think it was Penelope Ford and somebody. I don't remember. But
I think you're right.
Rob froze again.
You froze. Oh,
did I freeze?
Yeah. I think you
Also
did.
a quiet
Am I
dude.
gone? Okay.
You're not gone.
You're good.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So going back and keeping in Monday Night Raw. Loving the fact that Kevin Owens is the prize fighter again. Loving the fact that Drew McIntyre was on TV. Love the fact that they're talking about wrestling and we're wrestlers and we're going to wrestle. It's just like he had to say it 100 times because he's so excited to get to use, vernacular that Vince McMahon said you can't say wrestling and goddamn it, it's entertainment. But it's just like it's like we get to say wrestling again because it's exciting because now. I feel like these guys are going to be able to say what they want to say in the ring. They're going to do what they want to do, and that'll lead us into Moxley and Punk in a few minutes. But anything else from Monday Night Raw that you guys really enjoyed? The Elias Ezekiel storyline? Anything? The
Elias, the Ezekiel, the Elron, that whole fucking gimmick is comic gold. The only thing that could make it better, like if Elias had like a chest tattoo right here. And then all the characters had it, and he's like, "No, it's a family crest tattoo. We all got it."
Like if Elias had his name tattooed on his back,
right?
And then when he comes out, there's a Sharpie marker that's like marking it out, so you can't see the shit. Yeah.
No, that is gold. I mean, like that's building to the level of like when Vince McMahon was in the hospital. And Steve Austin was like his doctor, and then was like shocking him in the head with a bedpan. Oh, I was dying laughing.
Some of the best.
I think the thing is that it just shows that like Elias is really, really good at what he does because he's honestly none of those gimmicks that he's done have been good gimmicks, and he's just squeezed the most out of them, in my opinion.
The OG Elias gimmick is so good.
But that's what I'm saying. It wasn't a good. I don't think it would have been good if it had been anybody else but him. I think he made it work. But I feel like if you just take the gimmick and you put it on paper and you're like, this is fucking stupid. That's going to put butts in seats, right? Like, but he killed it. And then the fact that he can actually play guitar, like, I don't know. I think he's super, super freaking talented and doesn't get it. He's one of the many people in WWE that like just, they could go all the way. It's almost like their roster has so much talent. And I'm excited now that Triple H is at the helm that maybe everybody's going to get a chance to see if they can shine, at least a little, 15 minutes of fame or so to speak.
I'm wondering, I was going to ask you guys this. So obviously they're able to say wrestling again, talk about wrestling again. Do you think the other terminology goes away? Like he's gone to a local medical facility.
A
lot of it has.
Yeah, so they can say hospital now. It's not a local medical facility anymore.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, Michael Cole said that. They're still saying universe. I don't think that's going to happen, but they can say fans now in addition to that. So you're going to see more. I think it's just going to be less vanilla to where you just have one word to describe one thing and like, oh, there's more than one word. Like a guy and a boy and a person and a human that can all be the same thing. Like. Whereas it used to be like, nope, if it's a guy, it's got to be a guy. You can't say a boy. You can't say a man. You can't say a person. It's got to be this, I think you're going to see a lot more of that. They can use belt. They can use strap. Now,
what were they using before?
Championship.
And you can't say belt or strap?
No, you couldn't say that. No, you couldn't say even title. They couldn't say title, I don't think, either.
They said title.
That sounds ridiculous, but I'm sure there's a very good reason why they chose these words. I don't know. Is there a good reason?
I think my biggest conspiracy theory is that Vince McMahon was autistic, and that he like fixated on those like certain words and like loved them so much, and no one could understand.
Like
why.
Rain Man, like yeah, I see championship. I see, yeah, belts suck. Belts suck.
I could.
Wow. So moving in, we've covered Monday Night Raw. I feel like we're good there. Nothing really special going on there other than just those few little things. Moving into NXT on Tuesday, we had NXT Heat Wave. Two really important matches on that card were you had Mandy Rose and Zoe Stark for the Women's Championship, and then you had Braun Breaker, the son of Rick Steiner, versus J.D. McDonough, the former Jordan Devlin, former Cruiserweight Champion, former Heritage Cup Champion of NXT UK. More about UK later. Thoughts on those two matches, guys? What do we got? How do we feel about Mandy and Zoe? Appropriate.
I did not get a chance to watch those matches. I did, since we're talking about NXT, a good transition from NXT from WWE would be the thought of Johnny Gargano coming back, because a lot of people are talking about that, especially now with Ciampa being in the mix and going back to their ridiculous barn burners in NXT. We don't necessarily have to talk about it, but I want to say it for anybody that doesn't know. He is has openly said on Twitter, it was Bust Open Radio. I think he did an interview, and he said, I'm totally open to go back to WWE.
Why did he leave?
Okay. He got let go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the many
budget cuts.
Did
he get let go or his contract expire?
Oh gosh, I don't know. He's been gone for a minute, hasn't he, Garrett? I think you'd know.
The way it was explained to me, and I could be completely wrong because whatever. But he and Candace were expecting their first child, and I think they wanted to kind of get off the road a little bit so they could kind of enjoy, what was going on, and he could be a dad, and he could kind of explore the indies a little bit. Which no one has seen Johnny Gargano since what? Help me out. Was it September of last year? Has it been a year?
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a minute.
I'm looking it up now.
He showed up at a couple, I think, random indies, I think.
Yeah, and I know he did some interviews for like Impact Wrestling and things like that, where he was talking about the Motor City Machine Guns, talking about Shelley, talking about Kushida. So I think it was more his contract was ending, and he just needed a little time to be a dad.
Yeah,
and who could blame him? For those of us that have children, me. It's the best. Justin's got kids. It's the best. It's so rewarding, and I can't think of anything better myself. But Johnny Gargano coming back to WWE. I mean, there's limitless potential here with Ciampa, with the Miz, with a lot of these not huge guys, but some of these smaller mid-carder guys that you can really build on. They've got a great tag team. Intercontinental Championship, United States Champion. I mean, hell, Johnny Gargano with the way he talks on the microphone, he could be WWE champion. But I think just bringing back good talents is been Triple H's modus operandi lately, and it's great to see that we've got a lot of these fan favorites back. And one more thing before I open it back up to you guys, did anybody see they were brawling in the back? It was Theory and Ziggler. They were brawling in the back, and then on the back wall there was like a hand in a glove. Did anybody see that?
I did not.
It was like a driving glove,
a severed hand. That would be good.
Bray Wyatt glove, like the Bray Wyatt hate heel gloves. There was just one on the wall. It was reaching out, and I'm waiting for all of these backstage vignettes where people are walking, and then there's like a car accident,
little Easter eggs.
Somebody. Easter eggs, all these little Easter eggs, like they're putting out fires in the backstage area. They're talking to the cops, all this other stuff. I want to know where these are going to go, because maybe it's Dexter Lumis, maybe it's Bray Wyatt, maybe it's something else. But we're getting off topic. You guys go back to NXT and anything else you want to talk about.
No, I was just going to say the last is December 5th of 2021 was Gargano, and he did make a taped cameo on Impact Wrestling, but since then he hasn't been seen. So.
Thank you for that information.
But here's the thing: you're talking about long-term storytelling, and like we talk about like the tag team division, how Vince just doesn't like tag teams. Like,
dude, it always seems so baloney.
Gargano and frickin' Ciampa come back. They have a couple amazing, maybe WrestleMania moments, something like that. They come back together, and DIY beats the frickin' Usos. I'm like, I don't know what better tag team and what more of an exclamation point you could put on Hunter coming back as two of his dudes. Like, because Ciampa is his guy. Them coming back and hitting that up. And then that can elevate them to the point to where they can break up, and then Ciampa or Gargano can go on to the singles, division.
Now, Justin, can we come back to that very topic about the tag team division? Can we come back to that in a little bit?
Absolutely.
We can do whatever we want.
I've got something I want to say about that.
Yeah.
I want to get through the rest of the week. I want to get to SmackDown before we get there.
Okay.
Are we good with NXT? Do we move to Wednesday?
Well, other than just saying NXT UK is no more. That's gone. Like, they've released all their talent.
That's
they didn't release all. They released
Thursday.
a good majority of them. They didn't release all of them. They're keeping some for NXT and then hold on to them for NXT Europe.
Well, yeah, okay, so that's what I was going to say.
Thursday.
UK is no more. They've taken them off of that, but they are going to have NXT Europe, and that's the difference, I guess.
Yep. And when we get to Thursday, I want to touch on that. But we're up to Wednesday now, and as we know, it's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. It's AEW Dynamite. And honest to God, top to bottom, this is the best show of the week. You can't say anything else about it. AEW Dynamite is just that. It is freaking dynamite. It's lightning in a bottle every week.
They open with a fucking banger.
Yeah.
You started strong with two sick segments. You had Punk and Moxley doing their promo in the ring, and then you got Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia in a 2 out of 3 falls match, which was an absolute banger. But let's talk about Punk and Mox real quick, because there's some real life implications to why this story is important and why they moved this match from All Out in September to next Wednesday on Dynamite.
Well,
Boys,
before that, I think you should also mention the Hangman thing, which came before the Punk thing.
Yeah, that's good.
That's creating a lot of backstage.
That all adds into this thing. That all goes into this little ball right now.
Because I mean, a lot of people. I mean, the narrative being pushed is that it's there's actual heat and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I said this with the Cody thing too. I was like, oh, it's all work. He's not actually going to leave. Blah blah all that. And then I was made to look like an idiot on WrestleMania.
And MJF.
Yeah,
I mean, there's all this like work shoot stuff going on.
The MJF stuff, I'm still pretty sure that he's just being held for something really big. But
I hope MJF is a gem.
I think the Hangman stuff is also a work. I mean, I think that they're trying to actively make Punk just be, I fucking hate that guy. Because I mean, here's the thing: they can turn him heel, but he's still going to get cheered when he comes out.
They should have turned him heel after he beat Hangman, and that would have been the perfect segment of literally afterwards he did it, and then he's like, "I told you I was going to do it. I fucking did it. Now this is my company. Screw everybody."
They were trying to.
Right.
You remember they tried to.
Hangman was calling him out for it.
Yeah, in that promo right before the match, CM Punk was starting to get a little tweeny, a little heely. But I mean, I think the reason they didn't just pull the trigger on that turn right away is because you've got MJF coming back, and the question is, are you gonna and we'll get back to it. Are you gonna make heel Punk after he beats Danielson on Wednesday, and then at the end of this match bring back MJF and the crowd goes nuts, and then are you gonna have a babyface MJF? Because
I got news for you. I mean, there is no way MJF doesn't come back as a babyface. There's no way. He's going to be Miz in 2016 or whatever, 17, whenever he turned face for that period of time after that interview with Bryan Danielson. Or Daniel Bryan, I'm sorry. Remember that they had that talking smack and he just shot on him on live after SmackDown. And then he was like lightning at that point. Like, he was more over than anybody had been in the WWE organically, and I can't remember how long. So I think
I think that he
I think there's a delay.
Go ahead, Justin.
Well, no, I think is there a delay? Yeah, there's a bad delay. It's creating all this awkward.
You're getting caught up, Justin.
Am I?
We can still hear you. Your video just out.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Comcast, for shitty internet.
Yeah, and I pay for like the
I got
highest
the fiber.
one too. Yeah, I got the fiber.
Same.
Yeah, you think it'd be okay? Maybe I should do it downstairs where the router's at, or have an extender or something like that. But yeah, I think that MJF's definitely going to be a face when he comes back. Now, I mean, he's so good he can turn the crowd on in a moment's notice. But I think it's going to be like a reverse John Cena, to where every time he comes out, he's going to get cheered and he's going to have to make the crowd boo him. You know, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's more of, the old school Steve Austin, where it's like he gives zero fucks about anybody, and that's what people love. And, he's just the favorite anti-hero. So, yeah, he'll come back as a babyface, but as a heel, but like just because he doesn't care. And when if you have, elements like that, then, there's nothing you can do that's wrong. Except for when, Steve Austin sold out and would hang out with Vince McMahon.
But that was the issue, though, is that they tried to make him a heel, but he was so loved that it didn't work. Like, he was still getting cheered despite anything that he tried to do. Which, again, going back to the Punk thing, that's what I think they're doing, and I think it's really smart, because I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to use the internet users, like on Reddit and stuff like that, be like, oh, Punk's just being an asshole, like, he's always, and then, like, you got the smarks, they're like, well, he's always been that way, he's always been a locker room cancer, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, you've got people being like, oh, he really is, like, in real life, he hates Adam Page, he hates Jon Moxley, he's just there for money kind of thing, and then you get people talking on the internet, it gets on Twitter, it gets everywhere, and then when he starts coming out, people think it's going to be cool to boo him, because they're like, oh, well, he's an asshole in real life, and he's ruining that locker room back there, and he's bringing all his negativity from WWE over, and then that's what creates him to be an actual heel, as opposed to, oh, I'm playing the bad guy, but they're still losing their shit every single time Cult of Personality plays.
That right there is exactly it, and here's why. We live in a post-curtain call world, right? That and with the advent of social media, like this whole work shoot thing, like, most wrestling fans nowadays are more smarks than marks. And I think that the only way that you can get somebody to get legitimate heat is to go through channels like this and make the news reports fit whatever narrative that you're trying to push. Because just watching it and seeing what you're seeing, like, people that actually enjoy wrestling, they don't just digest it. They're digesting it on YouTube. They're digesting it on podcasts. They're looking at these reports and I think that's the only way that you can really get it. So I think it's genius too. I think it's absolutely what's happening now. Obviously, blurring the line between reality and fiction or whatever. I mean, maybe there is heat in the back. They've definitely done that in the past. I mean, look, you had the McMahon, the Stephanie, and the Triple H stuff, and that bled into them actually getting married. But so I mean, things like that could happen. But I do think that Khan is maybe taking a pinch of reality and doing his best to capitalize and on that.
Well, and I think so much of that is like Punk this past week. Well, first of all, Punk's a fucking bum, like an actual bum. You put him in a sweatshirt and a hoodie, and yeah, dude, this guy's asking you for money. Get this bum out of the mat. But that being said, you're a fucking asshole if you're calling like Hangman and Eddie Kingston out and trashing them when they're not even there. Like,
yeah, that was
come on, dude.
That first thing that he did was definitely a real thing that they got pretty pissed off. And according to everything that I've read, nobody knew that was going to happen, and that's kind of what created the drama.
But that's what I'm getting at.
I think you have to appreciate. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
Go, Garrett.
Rock, paper, scissors?
I just said I think it's interesting. Whenever you have art imitating life and vice versa, we're getting so we're getting killed on the lag here. I'm so sorry, guys, but Garrett, go ahead. You're good, brother. You're our guest, please.
So no, that's what I was kind of getting at earlier, though, with this the whole like oh, that was an asshole move. They didn't know it was going to happen, or like they weren't even there. I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the trying to make people really hate him by sending that rumor out. You have a source text Meltzer and be like, well, we had no idea that was going to happen. He went in for business on his own. He even did the whole pipe bomb thing where he checked to see if the mic was still on when he called Hangman out, just to see if they like cut him off or whatever because he did something off script. But I really think, and I'm not shitting on it. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's going to end up well, but I can't really buy into the fact that he's doing this off script and he's being an asshole. But also real quick, I did like FTR sent out a picture. One of them did of tagging CM Punk, and it's a picture of Hangman Adam Page back in catering eating and saying he was busy.
That's funny, man. That's funny. And then Mox said half the time you're not even the best wrestler in catering,
which is great.
Right, came out there and said like, oh man, yeah, that promo was so good.
That was one of my favorite Moxley promos I've seen in like a long time. I mean, the him saying, what are you going to do? Drop the mic. And I mean, it looked like a real fight. It didn't look like wrestling where you get in each other's face, and you're like staring at each other, stuff like that. I mean, he was doing it like a dude would walk up to a guy on the street, just kind of chest bump him, put his head against his head, push his head back. But the thing that sold it the most was the kiss.
Oh, yeah. He was not prepared for that.
No. I don't care what you say. That was not a work. That was not a work. I don't care what you say. That was like they did not talk about that ahead of time. But here's the thing: is like you look at these guys, and in my mind right now, you got 4 guys in AEW that are 4 of the best at specifically making it feel like it's real. You've got Moxley, you've got Punk, you've got Eddie Kingston, you've got MJF. They're the 4 that when they go out there, you're like, wait a second, is this is real life. This isn't a script. This isn't a storyline. This isn't like they're feeling this. Like when they talk, there's something organic about the way that they emote. Well, there may be more. Go ahead. What 5? What was the 5th one?
I'm gonna add a 5th guy to that and make my segue into the next piece. Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
If you want to talk real, God Almighty, there was nothing more real for me as far as how things are going. Was the second segment of the night. You got Danielson and Garcia in that 2 out of 3 falls match. And there's so much to unpack here, and I'd like to get you guys' opinion on this. But first of all, you got a 2 out of 3 falls match. Who's your guest ring announcer, guest timekeeper? You got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who in 1989 at Clash of Champions 7 had the best 2 out of 3 falls match ever with who? The Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Ever.
Dave Meltzer called, I think that was Dave Meltzer's first 5-star match he ever gave 5 stars to. So you sit here and you think about, you got Steamboat. I mean, Tony Khan, to his credit, he's a nerd, but God alive, we love him because he knows what he's doing, and I hope we can get him on this show and pick his brain about some stuff. But Tony Khan knows great storytelling. Bryan Danielson knows great storytelling. You've got the Blackpool Combat Club, Jericho Appreciation Society, intertwined. They've been intertwined for months. When Danielson cut that promo when he was still a heel, talking about Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia and all these guys he would want in Blackpool Combat Club, now he's got his match with him. It's a rubber match between these guys. They settled it. It was brilliant. Garcia takes the first fall. Danielson takes the second. And then Danielson wins the match, the third fall, with the LaBelle lock, which, a tribute to, Gene LaBelle, his mentor, his coach. I mean, you've got all these elements of storytelling that are going on in this match. There's just a lot of passion, and there's a lot of effort that is being put into what these guys are doing, because they don't have the Vince filter anymore telling them what they can and cannot put out as far as content. And because they're able to do this, it's beyond compelling. And even if you don't like wrestling, if you get these little tidbits about why this was significant, you'd love it. You'd eat it up. It's a movie. And that's the beauty of wrestling. That's the thing that we all love about it, is that you can. It's Marvel. It's Marvel. It's DC. It's movies. It's TV. It's whatever. But going into the match, I know you guys checked out the match. It was amazing. Let's talk about this match. How do we feel about Danielson versus Garcia, the finale?
I gotta say that I'm so surprised that they're really pushing Garcia as much as they want. I mean, they're making him out to be a killer. I mean, Danielson has killed so many people, and he's just been like this monster in there. And then the first person to really kind of just give him his numbers, I mean, is Garcia. Like, they're really, really putting a lot of stuff into this guy. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not saying I don't like him. I just, maybe it's like the WWE fan in me. It's like, he's kind of got the ringmaster vibe to him. Like, he needs to find a Stone Cold, because he's got all the skills. Like, he can talk, he can wrestle, he's got, kind of, he's not a big guy, but I mean, it's not super important anymore. But like, there's just something about him that kind of like still smells like vanilla. And, and I just think that they've still got to do that, for me anyways. I like the fact that they're setting him up now to where after this match, it looks like maybe he's going to break away from the JAS. I think that they're definitely capable of doing it. I mean, they did it with Wheeler Yuta, because Wheeler Yuta was like somebody I didn't give two shits about. And now he's one of my favorite guys out there. And it took basically two matches, him with Mox, and then him winning the ROH Pure Championship. And now I'm a huge Wheeler fan. So I know it can be done, and I know he's got the tools. It's an amazing match, definitely the match of the night. Maybe candidate for match of the year.
Well, I think they need to do something to boost the rest of the JAS. Because, it's only Jericho, and the other two guys are like, they're barely getting any screen time at any pops. Like, we got to share the love here.
Daddy Magic, though. I love the fact that he talks like,
I know, it's great.
It's the nasty. I love that every single time he does it. Like, it's so blatant. They made comments about it, but man, I love it. I want them to wear that speckled shit, with the vest and everything else. Like, I don't care, man. Do it at greatest hits. Go back to the Nasty Boys. I don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Garrett, and then I got one more little thing I want to drop before we move on.
No, I mean, I mean that's pretty much everything else said. I mean, it's just it's one of the better matches, one of the better storylines. I mean, I'm always gonna we go back to talking about favorite wrestler. I mean, I'm always gonna be pro anything Daniel Bryan does. But yes, Justin, I agree. Wear the speckled shit. Go Nasty Boys.
And last little bit, as someone who never uses a comb, because I just have a bike helmet mold of hair, switchblade combs, fucking coming back.
So,
well, I like that you're evolving your character, Ryan. I appreciate that.
I love it.
You're welcome.
I love it. Last thing I want to say about this match before we move on to the trios match. The thing that really just tied this whole thing together for me with Garcia and why he's going to be a star. 23-year-old guy, he gets it. It's not Jericho. It's not, next week we're going to find out where his loyalty lies, all this BS. What really sold me on Garcia was at the end of that match, Danielson puts him in the bell lock, and he choked him out, he knocked him out, and he's just sitting there glassy-eyed. He reached into his mouth like he was trying to pull out a mouthpiece like a fighter would do after a fight, after getting knocked out, and he's grabbing at Bryan Danielson's ankle like, the match isn't over. Like, is it over? Like, he didn't know. And I thought
like
that was
would
really
happen in a
good.
UFC match.
Yeah, I've seen those things before. The ref's like, hey, it's done.
I thought that was such a stroke of genius in the story, because it just gives you it gives Garcia that opportunity to really, really, really get over a little more. So yeah, I mean, hope this it's going to be fun to see what happens when Jericho calls him out next Wednesday. Trios match, the return of the cleaner, Kenny Omega,
the god of pro wrestling.
Can we talk about Kenny Omega? My goodness.
Here's another great potential.
Still got those curls.
Yeah, he does. He'll always have those curls. But here's another potential long-term storytelling. I know you guys have seen the video that happened after Dynamite, because Robb shared it right after I shared it in the group. Yeah. And then Evan shared the thing that I shared afterwards. Like, you fuckers, are y'all not watching my shit? I've already done this. I got so funny. So anyways, I think it's a great opportunity for them to yet again blur the lines, and I think that's really turning into a staple in AEW storytelling, is trying to utilize PWI, Busted Open, all these big media outlets to their advantage, to basically play off of and almost ride the wave. They're like, it writes itself, kid. That kind of thing. It's like, hey, they're already talking about it. Why don't we make this the story? And, with Kenny Omega talking about I'm not what I once was, but I will be better, this and that. Throughout the match, you saw him get a little bit frustrated with himself. He could sense his own ring rust. He had a couple, points where he kind of favored the knee a little bit and stuff like that. And he's been bringing that on there. And again, it gets people like us talking, is this real? Is this actually happening? Or is this something that they're doing to try and keep us intrigued? And either way, I'm here for it. Because like I said, it's blurring those lines. And the best part,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I know there's a really good video. It was on YouTube. I'll post it in the links of kind of the long-term storytelling when Omega was in New Japan and his best friend and tag team partner, their relationship of back and forth against each other and finally putting each other over is brilliant. And it makes you question, is this for real? Is it not? I'll dig that up and post it in the link. You'll love it. Did we lose Justin?
Anything else?
Did he die?
Anybody want to add anything before we go to Thursday?
Good.
Do it.
All right. Thursday. Oh, Justin's gone.
Justin's gone.
So when Justin comes back, we'll clue him in on what's going on. Thursday, the big news on Thursday was that NXT UK is going to be taking a hiatus until 2023, and they're going to bring us NXT Europe. Now, in order to kind of get things moving for the next 6 to 9 months, WWE released 20 of their UK superstars. The most notable name of that was Nxt Severn, because obviously with the with British Strong Style with Pete Dunne, now Butch, and Tyler Bate, who they spoiled on NXT 2.0 on Tuesday as the new UK NXT United Kingdom champion. You're gonna have a lot of stuff going on with that. Any thoughts on the NXT UK hiatus and what we should expect for Europe? These 20 so odd talents that have been released. Big names in the company. A lot of former champions. A lot of up and coming superstars.
They got released due to budget cuts.
Well, I think too. Yeah, budget cuts is one thing, but I think too that since they're going to be rebranding in 23, I think that they just didn't want to have to pay everybody's salary. I don't really know why they got released, but it makes sense to rehire these people later and give them a chance, since they're not going to be on TV. Maybe give them a chance to go out and earn some money in some of these, European independents and build their brand. So when the Europe brand starts, they've got all these stars, and it's going to help. It's only going to help raise the profile of WWE in Europe, in my opinion.
Isn't WWE also pretty known for after WrestleMania releasing a bunch of wrestlers for a minute so they dodge taxes and then hire them back? Am I?
There's a couple times
there?
throughout the year that they do that. There's specific times, probably. But that is one of them. The Nxt Severn thing actually doesn't surprise me that much, because I don't know if you guys realize this. I only found out because I was super into Progress for a while, and Progress Wrestling.
Progress is good no matter what.
But Nxt Severn's actually older than you would think. He's in his early 40s.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I'm wondering if that played part in it. I'm not saying 40's old by any means, but I mean, for the sense of that style of wrestling and that promotion, I think if you're in your early 40s, you could be a cut candidate.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry I got cut off while you had to swap back over to you guys, but I think the thing is that I think they're taking a book out of AEW's page, because AEW has been doing this kind of thing since its inception, basically. Well, since they've started releasing people, they don't really announce releases. Their contracts expires and they just don't renew them, and they let them go back. And now they've brought people back and forth. And I think that, like you were saying, it's going to let them go and do their own thing, and then potentially bring them back. It keeps a somewhat good relationship with the people where they're not being fired. Some of the people have had a bitter taste in their mouth with it. I know Joey Janela wasn't super happy with the situation, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to sign if Tony Khan comes back to him. If he comes out, makes a bigger name for himself. I mean, look what happened with Drew. When he came back, went out, came back. I think it's good for everything, and I think that AEW has been doing it for a long time, and I think that WWE is doing it now. I just feel like maybe because they make it more public and because it's a publicly traded company, I think maybe people almost perceive it as more of a negative thing, whereas when AEW does it, it's almost kind of been a positive thing. No one's really dogged them for releasing people.
Well, I think it's more of just the sports entertainers, or athletes in general. It's still a business. It's still a company that they got to make everything good. And it's with baseball, pitchers. Look, dude, you're an asset. As much as everyone loves who you are still an asset to this team. And if we need to, let you go or trade you, it's going to happen. And that's all. That's on Tony Khan. That's on Triple H and Stephanie McMahon now.
Yeah.
So, I applaud AEW for kind of gracefully letting people go and not just absolving them of their contract. So.
I think the reason why people see it more negatively with WWE is because everybody knows that they have this unlimited budget to just spend as much money as they possibly
they didn't have to do it.
And AEW might, necessarily, it's okay, well, they don't quite as have, they're not a publicly traded company yet. And, even though there's a lot of money, hey, there's Tink. Hey.
Hey.
Even though they're not a publicly traded company yet, and, they don't, they've obviously got a huge budget, but they still don't quite have the buying power that WWE does. And so I think maybe that's why people's oh, well, obviously you're bringing in Punk, you're bringing in Danielson, you're bringing in, all these big names, something's got to give. And it's typically the lower hanging fruit.
Sure. And I think I think giving these guys, these NXT UK guys, some time to earn some money until the end of the year. Give these guys a chance to go to Progress. Give these guys a chance to go to WXW in Germany. Give these guys a chance to just, stay sharp in the ring because, make some money, stay sharp in the ring because if they're not taping TV for 6 months, well, shit, you might as well just give these guys a chance to do something. It's the same thing with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor took that hiatus for a little while, and where'd they all go? They went to AEW, they went to Impact. And, some of them went to Indy, some of them went to MLW, some of them went, they all just kind of went in places just to kind of keep their skills sharp and make a little money because this, at the end of the day, is their job. It's not like they're not flipping pizzas at Papa John's, but on the weekends they're going to wrestling shows. Some of those low level talents are, but not these guys that have already been on TV. So
do you flip pizzas?
Great. No, I'm not very good at it.
I don't flip.
I used to work for Mellow Mushroom here in Atlanta.
I flipped a pizza one time and I ruined it because all the pepperoni and shit fell off.
Oh, it's the worst.
Got to fold it, dude. Make it a calzone.
There you go.
Yeah, calzone.
It's happy little accident.
I'm gonna
Bob Ross
take the kid to get a calzone for dinner tonight. You want a calzone for dinner? Nah.
Nice.
So last bit of moving on from Thursday, we got Friday. The big news on Friday, and this one's more for me and Garrett than you guys. Kazuchika Okada is your 2022 G1 Climax Tournament champion. This is a tournament that I think this is the 26th or 27th G1 they've done. Something significant about it is that Kazuchika Okada, who was a 700-plus day champion, IWGP champion for New Japan, this is his second year in a row winning this tournament. It's a single elimination. It's a points tournament. And he defeated probably one of the hottest Gaijin wrestlers in the world right now, Will Ospreay, who during the pandemic was a junior heavyweight, and since he had to stay home and no one was working, he got some weights and
he's a thick boy now.
And he's a thick boy now, and he is a force to be reckoned with. So I'm gonna let this over to Garrett as he and I are kind of the Japan marks. Garrett, a lot of people are pissed off that Okada won this tournament again, saying that Ospreay should have won and that the Roman Reigns of New Japan is just being crammed down everybody's throats. But I've got an interesting take on this, but I want to hear yours first.
I mean, I think this has been the thing with Okada for I mean, not just recent memory, but I mean distant memory. I mean, he's been their top guy forever, and it shows that he's the top guy because before he was the Roman Reigns of New Japan, he was the John Cena of New Japan. He was, he's always been the top dog, but he's consistently been there. He hasn't left. He hasn't taken time away.
You wouldn't have thought Hiroshi Tanahashi would have been the John Cena of New Japan?
That's just because he's pretty. I more so meant, that he's.
Does he have a jawline?
Oh man, he's gorgeous.
My God,
he's got
does he
this
have a
flowing blonde
jawline?
hair. He's adorable.
He's an anime character.
He is.
Really?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay, yeah.
So.
Well, anime is not a race, Justin, so no.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
But
that
no,
was racist. So that's...
I hate Will Ospreay. I don't actually hate him as a person. He's just that much of just a little shithead that he's just made me hate him. So I was glad to see Okada win it. Ospreay, I will give him his due, give him his flowers. They say. I mean, they put on an unreal match. But
when Ospreay and Orange Cassidy had that banger at the Forbidden Door, that was a great fucking match.
Oh yeah, they tore the house down with that one, and I mean that's the thing, and not in any. I mean, Orange Cassidy is phenomenal, but that's just Ospreay can get a match out of anybody, and I really liked what he did. He did a callback to an old New Japan match where he used multiple people's finishers that had left New Japan. Yes. So it was right after AJ Styles left, and I want to say it was Rob. Was it Kenny Omega that did it, or was it?
Kenny did the Styles Clash.
He did the Styles Clash, yeah. But then he did a handful of other people's finishers that have gone. So, to go throw that back, that's what Ospreay did. He did the One Winged Angel. He did
nice.
Did a Shining Wizard. Did what was the other one that he did?
V Trigger. Was the V Trigger?
Yeah, I mean, he did.
No.
He did a V Trigger. That's why I didn't mean to say Shining Wizard.
He has his own version of the V Trigger. He did a. Oh God! The golden moonsault, Kota Ibushi's golden moonsault.
That's it.
The golden moonsault.
Yeah.
Off. They were outside of the ring, and he climbed up the turnbuckle and went. But anyway, yeah. More. If the fact that you hate Will Ospreay, as talented as he is, just tells you he's doing his job.
Yep.
Oh, exactly. Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, like I said, I don't actually hate him. I see him come out there, and I just hope he just gets the shit beat out of him. But typically, he's the one beating the shit out of someone.
Butts and seats, people. Butts and seats.
Especially since he's gained that muscle and that weight. I got to see him the last WrestleMania that I went to. Was pre-pandemic. Obviously, it was I'm pretty sure that was in New Orleans. Yeah. And that's right around the time when he had started to bulk a little bit. And seeing him in person, I was like, oh, God. I saw him a couple years prior in person when we were in Dallas for WrestleMania. And, I mean, he was a tiny boy. He was a tiny boy doing little flippity flops, and now he's yoked.
He's a full-grown man. He's
watching
eating some steak.
Watching him in Ricochet, or what did we call Ricochet before he was Ricochet? Not Prince Puma, the other one. What was Ricochet?
It was King Ricochet.
What was Ricochet before he was Ricochet?
He was on Ricochet on the Indies too. Prince Puma on Lucha Underground, obviously.
He was,
okay, so it's King Ricochet.
King Ricochet, yeah.
King Ricochet. Yeah, you're fine. We'll get Justin back in just a second. But so my take on this is with this match is that looking ahead to Wrestle Kingdom, which I think this will be either 15 or 16 in January, the big January 4th show. Jay White is the New Japan Pro Wrestling, the IWGP International Heavyweight Champion. To take that match and to take all of this Bullet Club stuff, bring it back full circle, there's a chance that Okada can finally defeat Jay White because he's not defeated Jay White. So give him that maybe, but we got to remember too that now they have a briefcase in a contract that says January 4th, 2023 on it. And he has to defend those rights to have that contract. So they don't sign that contract till January 3rd. So he's got to defend that contract at least 3 or 4 times. Dominion, Dontaku, all the Ryogoku Kogakukan match, the show, the Korakuen Hall. They've got all these shows that they've got to do, and and Okada has to defend the rights to challenge. So it'll be interesting to see if Will Ospreay gets another shot at it, or who knows what's going to happen there. But your final thoughts on this, and we'll go to Friday, or we'll go to the end of Friday.
Well, just to break in real quick, Cameron Locke, is that the name you're talking about for Ricochet? This Trevor Mann was his name, but he went by
Trevor
Cameron
Mann's
Locke,
name.
Helios, Prince Puma, and Ricochet. And he was King Ricochet.
Helios.
King Ricochet is what he was.
Helios. That's what Helios. Yeah. Helios. That's what he was. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that information. We got two little more things to talk about. SmackDown. It
was the promo with Drew McIntyre and Caden Cross was great. Like the Chosen One. I thought it was awesome.
That was awesome.
So
the little vignettes that Cross has been putting out on his social media have been just stellar.
Superb.
Like just that look on his face when he saw the ambulance come across. Did you guys see that? While he's smoking a cigar and there's an ambulance, it's across the street, and he's just like laughing, and like you're just like, what's going on? Like, is that ambulance there because of something he did? Like what? I mean, he just feels evil, just evil.
I love it.
I mean, come on, like faces. You got to be an epic face to really get a good pop, but you got to be. You just need to be a pretty good heel or an evil asshole, and everyone will hate you, and everyone will tune in to see you get your ass kicked.
Everybody wants to be a heel.
Yeah,
it's hard to be a face.
There's so much more creativity in heels too. Because you can do what you want. Like, oops, that didn't work. Let me try some other way to kick your ass. Like,
most of your heels are calling the match in the ring too. They typically control the match tempo in most cases.
So I admittedly did not get a chance to watch SmackDown. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch SmackDown last night. I actually had to go into work, so I'll have to let you guys take the lead on this. I was going to check it and Rampage out this evening.
My biggest thing from SmackDown is the seeds they're planting with Sami Zayn. To me, this is the most important thing they're doing. If your main plot line is Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross, your subplot right now, your second most important story is Sami Zayn, because he finally got in to talk to Roman. He's sitting there. Roman's kind of like leading him down the primrose path and giving him false hope. But, he says, hey, Kevin, you still talk to Kevin Owens? Yeah, man, well, tell him I don't owe him anything. Screw that guy. And da-da-da-da-da. But what I love, and I'm going back to what Justin was saying about tag teams right now, and having Johnny Gargano and Ciampa defeating the Usos for the tag team championships. Maybe they beat them for the Raw tag team championships, and then when the draft happens, you get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to take SmackDown championships off of the Usos. Because for me, just the long-term storytelling of them being friends forever and putting Kevin Owens' name in Sami Zayn's mouth on Friday, and I know, and based on the way Triple H loves tag teams and the way he thinks, I just feel like they're just planting seeds right now for these great matches that we've been dying for. I mean, who would not love seeing Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who are best friends in real life, take on the Usos for SmackDown championships, who are brothers in real life? It's beautiful writing. It's beautiful storytelling. It's the stuff that we love about wrestling. Guys, take it away.
That and the crowd chanting of Sami Zayn when he walked out on that podium, like, oh my gosh, like, as a person, how could you not love it? Like, just the 70,000 people.
Forget it's his hometown for 5 minutes. It's the fact that he's getting the fans want him so damn bad to do something great, and here's his chance.
Also, that he looks like, Fidel Castro.
Justin Garrett, what do you got for me?
I love the idea of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and, Ciampa and Gargano. I think those are two. I mean, they were both really cemented. Just some of probably the two of the best storylines from the Gold and Black brand from back in the day. And I think, bringing them both in and getting them to do a tag will kind of silence all the, WWE doesn't do tag team haters, and that was a Vince thing. And I think, hopefully Triple H doesn't have that same kind of mentality, because I think they've got so much opportunity to make the product more diverse and not just be so like droning, because you got 3 hours and to have some really, really good tag matches thrown in there as opposed to just like an afterthought, I think is super important. And then also just the fact of trying to create a storyline that isn't based around a damn title. Like, you don't have to have just the title in there. You can have these awesome storylines that don't necessarily revolve around the IC or the Universal or something like that, And so not every single match when you get to a pay-per-view, you can, if you put, Ciampa and Gargano in a program together, you don't need a belt. You put Owens and Zayn in a program together, they don't need a belt. There's all these people that if you put them just together and give them something, give them some airtime, they're going to make gold. And I think, I know Triple H knows that because he's backed these guys. I mean, Kevin Owens has gone on record of saying, like, I'm here because of Triple H. So, I'm excited for it.
And if we can switch gears, just if we can switch gears here and pivot, as they say in the biz.
Pivot.
Taking a story without a title involved. Let's talk about the Bulgarian brute, the Bulgarian wrestling god himself, Mr. Mir. I see Ryan smiling. This is right up your alley, brother. House of Black.
One dude versus an entire pack of people.
It's you love it.
It's Sting versus NWO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Miro, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and it's like Miro is just this high-level paladin who's just fucking unstoppable, going against, like, hell itself. Like, it's a great story of, like, I'm this holy warrior going against the entire House of Black. The entire House of Black. I think it's great. Yeah. And once Pac comes back around, oh, my God.
Yeah. I agree. Going back a little bit, I think Pac is actually supposed to be fighting Ospreay here pretty soon for that AEW, was it the European title or the
All-Atlantic title?
All-Atlantic title, there you go, yeah. Yeah, man, I mean, Miro, I've always loved. I loved Rusev Day. I loved, stuff with him and Lana in the back, which, I mean, obviously, like we're talking about, Lana is potentially going to debut and come into AEW, which I think will just make things even better. I don't know exactly where she fits into the storyline, with the exception of maybe, exception of maybe like the Temptress from the House of Black being, trying to sway him and his the only woman that can touch him, coming in to kind of protect him from that. But
Miro's talked about, like, he's like, I have loyalty to two things, God and my wife. Like, maybe she comes in as that, like, this is my wife, and then she gets tempted away, kind of like what you're saying.
God,
that'd be cool.
Not, because don't bring in Bobby Lashley, whatever you do.
Oh my God! One of the most awkward, the most fucking awkward story bits. Like, oh yeah, we want you guys to kiss, and you're like, really? Like, just like cringeworthy awkward.
That had
Vince was letting his very weird, like, cuck fetish come into.
That's what I'm saying. The cuck angle is
very awkward.
It was a first. It was cutting edge.
Hopefully, the last.
But yeah, Miro the Paladin versus the demons. I think it's great. I want to see more of it. I want to see him. I want to see Miro, like, channel God to, like, how the WWE used to do, like, the lightning bolt with the Undertaker or whatever. Like, let's see some crazy shit like that.
Let's go.
Can AEW do that? Can AEW?
They haven't done it yet.
They haven't done it yet. What I'm saying is that, like, I don't know if they're there, like, with the over the topness. I feel like, they've tried to do.
They are pretty serious.
A little bit with, you've got Sting, but I mean, I don't know. They're very realistic, and I kind of like that about them. I almost feel like if you bring in a character like that, it would almost be confusing. And almost feel like it was out of place.
They've kind of done that with the Malachi Black stuff, though, and like the lights cutting off and them showing up in a different spot, and like that. I mean, they're treading.
But that's
that
more
line.
like a cult. That's more like a cult, or occult, not like a cult, but like that's more like the occult, and like that happens in real life. That's real. That's Manson family. That's like people that have created these weird, satanic ritualistic things. Like he's pulling all that from like paganism and Wiccan and all these things that are actually rooted in reality, that may be a little bit dark and crazy, but they're still rooted in reality. They're not sending lightning bolts down, and he's not saying he's, I don't know. I mean, you're right. It is the closest thing that they have to it, but for some reason, and I think it's just because Malachi Black is so enamored by that, and he's so obsessed with that character, and he has so much attention to detail, it still feels like it's possible. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it still feels like it's reality television and not like science fiction so much. With the most thing that they've done is just kind of the unexplained mist in the eyes and what is that? But it's still very much so like a what's that director? He did Lost. J.J. Abrams. It's like it's the off the screen terror that kind of kills you, not what you actually see, because it's like there's something going on here that we don't know what it is. They're not saying it's supernatural, but it feels like it's supernatural, but they're not saying it is, so it kind of keeps in reality. So I mean, I don't know, but I love the Miro stuff. I've got a question: is it blasphemous? It's kind of almost, he's this redeemer and he's talking to God, but the way he does it, it almost feels blasphemous.
I don't know, because, I don't know. Because if he feels he's a conduit of God, there's no one that can say that you're not, other than yourself. You guys tell me. It's... That's kind of a whole other jar of worms right here.
Yeah. It's a whole... I think the shtick or the gimmick itself is definitely, blasphemous, especially if he's doing it tongue-in-cheek. I don't know if Miro is actually like a Christian or if he believes in God. I don't know that whole thing either. And I guess, it doesn't really matter. But it is curious because, I've seen it several times, and it's like I'm going back and forth. It's like, is his gimmick, is he a man of God, or does he truly think he is God?
No, I don't think he is. I don't think he thinks he's God. I think he's like a God's pupil, a
chosen one, like
chosen
Christ.
One, yeah.
More like Jesus. That's
He's the redeemer, man. He's the redeemer. He's gonna redeem all of the shittery in AEW.
It's a fair point.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I'm intrigued with this storyline and the way that CJ Perry, his real life wife, kind of fits into all this. We'll see. It's neat. It's fun. It's fun.
I think it could be on the level of how people think they're prophets. Oh no, I'm just the conduit. I'm not Jesus, but I'm one of his disciples type of things. Could be something like that.
Yeah. Well, Jesus, if you go back through religion. Yeah, if you go into it, he's basically what Miro is saying. Is he is a form of Jesus. He is the direct line to Jesus to the world, and he is the Redeemer. He's going to come back and save us, so to speak, like Jesus dying on the cross.
Jesus has been working out, if that's the case.
Right? Yeah.
Having a lot of protein.
He's on the Jesus juice. Well, he's been carrying that cross around. You know what I mean? So
yeah, okay.
he's doing CrossFit, Ryan. So yeah. I think
okay.
Was that blasphemous? I don't know. Whatever.
That was a good pun. That's what it was.
Good God.
But,
that was great.
But yeah, no, whatever it is, I think it's good. I think the only reason I haven't been super into it thus far is because they just haven't given him any time. It feels like Miro hasn't had the time to really dig into something. It's been stop and go since he got there, which is a shame because he is he's a talent like no other. He really does have it all. So I just pray that they give him the time that they need, and I'm sure whatever the heck he does, it's going to be good. Just that one little scene where he kicked was it Murphy? Was that who was it? Yeah, where he kicked Murphy. That one kick was like, oh my God, that was just that little snippet, that little gif, and then him grabbing him and saying bring me the bring me the show me where the pagan is or something like that. What did he say?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but just that little bit right there, I'm here for it.
Fantastic. We love it. Well, boys, hell of a show.
Yeah. Garrett,
really
thank you for joining us, man.
Oh, thank you guys very much.
Garrett, please have the final word. Thank you for being here today. Give us the final word. What do you got? What you got left?
No, I appreciate y'all bringing me on, and it was fun. It was fun diving into memory lane with some of the stuff, and honestly, because I've been super distant from WWE for some time, just because I'll watch WrestleMania every year, and I'll probably watch SummerSlam, but talking about some of the things, made me more interested to maybe go back and watch it. So good job on your part for that. But yeah, I think it sounds more interesting, and I was already interested in trying to watch again just because of the change in the regime. But no, it sounds like it's going to be very promising.
Cool.
It's a good time to be a wrestling fan right now. It's a very, very good time 100%. To be a wrestling fan. I wouldn't say it's quite Attitude Era, but I think we're approaching it. It's definitely, I'm more interested in it for the first time, or more so now than I ever have been since I got back into it in 2015 when we started the little group that got us, here. So it's what, it was Garrett, it was you and me, and then quickly afterwards we saw Robb at a Ring of Honor show and added him on, and then, and that was 7 years ago. So
I really miss the days of working for Ring of Honor. What a delight it was to be able to work with them. Cannot thank Kerry Silken enough, and Gary Jester and Bobby Cruz and all those guys for the opportunities.
Well, Rob, let's talk about that next time. Let's get a little bit of let's turn on what you did for Ring of Honor next time.
Be a little fun.
We need to do that, and we also need to get the independent promotions on here. We're going to get the Southern Fried Championship. We're going to get Southern Honor. We're going to talk about that because I would love to get Nathan and Dylan and some of the guys from Southern Fried on here and talk about that, because I think we agree that our mission statement for this program or this special podcast, radio show, whatever you want to call it, this project is just to try and just help wrestling out in general, local wrestling.
Elevate it.
So, yeah.
Elevate it all around.
Gentlemen, it's been real.
Thank you for your time. Garrett, thank you for stopping by today. We hope to have you on again soon. You were the best. Ryan, for Justin, I'm Coach Robb.
Ryan. See you guys. Okay, we have stopped recording.